Name, age, and where you were born, then, please.
Yeah, so my name's Benjamin Butler. I'm 38 years of age, and I come from Shrewsbury. Well, I was born in Shrewsbury.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I'm the founder of New Generation Coaching. So I started that up back in 2017.
Okay.
That come from sort of my ex-partner, because I was working, doing 2 days on, 4 days off, working in a kids' care home. And then my ex-partner, I didn't know what to do. I've got ADHD, so 4 days off, like I'm flitting around the house, do you know what I mean? Not knowing what I'm doing. And she was like, why don't you set up an organisation? And I haven't got no clue. Am I able to swear on this or not?
Yeah, no. Carry on.
Yeah.
Be as open as you want.
Yeah. So I was like,
don't infringe yourself for future.
Yeah.
You know, anything that you've got in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, fucking hell, I don't know what to do with taxes. I don't know what, like an accountant and all that. Do you know what I mean? And she was like, you'll sort it out. Don't worry. Just look at 4 days off. You can go into schools, because I'm a qualified personal trainer. So at first, I set up the organisation, and it was called New Generation Fitness. But that only put a certain people into that one category. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we changed it to coaching, which meant that I could obviously coach around my mentoring. Coaching's like a bit of a variety. Do you know what I mean? To be able to
things do you cover?
Mentoring, personal training, workshops, one-to-one mentoring and group mentoring, but it depends on like the young people that I'm mentoring, because there could be certain young people that don't get on with each other. They come from different. There's postcodes in Telford as well, so they could come from different postcodes.
Okay.
Or they might have certain mental health issues or whatever. So sometimes group work's not really good. So I usually stick with the one-to-ones. But then I'll try and bring them together to do some group sessions with, like, I do workshops on like racism, child exploitation, criminal exploitation, bullying. And I think I've got a couple that I'm working on at the moment, with county lines and that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're more focused on the youngsters?
Yeah, definitely. That's only because of my upbringing. Like, I grew up in Shrewsbury, which is a predominantly white town. So I sort of endured loads of like racism. And it wasn't even just the odd couple of sayings throughout my life. It was every day from the age of 5, 6 that I can remember to even into my 30s. Like beating in school for being black, beating outside school for being black, beating at home by my mum and her partner, and my dad. I don't really like calling him my dad. I call him the sperm donor. But he was in jail for 17 years, so I didn't have I had no black family, so I was brought up by white family, white people. The area's white. It's obviously changed since over the past few years, but that then made me want to try and find myself, the self-identity, because I was going through like self-identity crisis. Do you get what I'm saying? So that obviously ended up me being.
Did it affect your mental health growing up?
Didn't affect me then, but it affected me later in life. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because during that period of time, because I was getting mentally and physically abused. Do you know what I mean? So I was getting beaten up at home, and then watching my mum and her fella beat each other up, and plus I had a white brother as well, but he never used to get beaten up. Do you know what I mean? I never. No, I don't
realise.
I don't know where. I can't put it down to racism, or that I feel like I don't want to put words into other people's mouths, but I feel like my mum had an agenda against me because of my dad. Do you get what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because of what he was like, I felt like
she tarred you with that.
Tarred with the same brush. That's how it felt. And then obviously my stepdad, I just thought he just didn't like black people. But that wasn't the case. They were abusing each other. I was the target.
Tumultuous relationship.
Yeah. And then I was leaving home and then getting beaten up outside. And that was like for like about 10 years, I think. And then I'd want people to buy my book because I've got a book coming out, but I ended up turning into a neo-Nazi. So I was a black neo-Nazi. So I ended up becoming one of the first black. I think there was a mixed race lad in the EBF, but I think he was like, I forgot what, he wasn't Jamaican or anything, I forgot his name now. But I become part of the English Border Front, which is a right-wing football firm. So they used to go and march for the National Front, vote for the BNP, like proper skinheads, like, yeah. And then I become one of them, bald-head, black geezer, because I just didn't know where to. I thought if I can't beat them, I'll just join them. And then I become
You wanted to fit in somewhere.
fit in somewhere. And I only found out recently there's like a film out called The Farming, and it's literally about it's on Prime, and it's a true story about when Africans come over on the Windrush generation because their families couldn't afford to keep their kids. They sold them to white families. So,
Wow.
and then the black kids. Then there was one black kid about this film, and he became a black neo-Nazi as well. And I only watched that a few years ago because I thought I'm the only fucking one that's like this, and I thought, fuck, at least it's not just me. Do you know what I mean? And then and obviously drugs, coke. I was selling coke, crack. Got involved in like knife crime, and then football violence as well on the side of it. Like the football was the side of like my side sort of thing.
The weekend thing.
The weekend thing during the week, it was like selling and getting involved in other shit around the estates and all that.
What was that like at that time of your life? Selling drugs and being on the streets. What was that? Delve into that a little bit more.
I was speaking to someone the other day about it. I never used to stay at home, so I was like, people would call me like a social butterfly, but I think I just never felt settled anywhere. Do you get what I mean? So I was always at different people's houses, I was either at my granddad's, or I'd be at my mate's, or I'd be at another estate somewhere staying there. Might be at my mum's one night. The police could never get me hardly. Like I knew the timings the police would get me. It was always about 3-4 o'clock in the morning because they knew I'd be resting my head somewhere. Do you know what I mean? But that was that was my life at the time, and I sort of enjoyed it because I was around like-minded people, and I had a sense of belonging. But as I grew up and grew older, I started realizing that it wasn't the fact that I wasn't enjoying it anymore. It's the fact that the people around me were like, I could see that they weren't nice people. Do you get what I mean? And I can be not a nice person, but I know that I've got a good heart. Do you know what I mean? But whereas I was actually seeing these,
Mature in a different way.
yeah, like some of the lads were forcing cocaine onto lads that were in debt. That we're all mates, and they was forcing them to sell more. And then in the end, they turned to heroin, and a few of them died from heroin overdoses. My best mate died from when he come out of prison, and when Danny died, don't know, because I've had quite a lot of people. Like one of my close mates hung himself last year. Every year, me and my best mate Ploma, we talk about it. We literally do have 1 or 2 people die in a year over the past 10, 15 years, whether it's males, suicides, drug overdoses, and murder. So the last one was 3.5 weeks ago, and I hadn't seen him for like 10, 15 years, and he was stabbed.
How many of those people are male as opposed to female?
There's only 2 females that I know that have died. One was my ex-girlfriend. She was my girlfriend at school. So, but we were really good mates. And she died from a drug overdose. And the other one, Sam, she died when I was at secondary school, and we were good friends. But out of the lads, there's about 10, 15 lads through suicide and drugs and murder.
Do you think through that type of experience you can pinpoint any type of thing or substance or abuse or anything like that that's linked to the suicide?
Yeah, cocaine. A lot of the time, cocaine, women. I'm not blaming the women, but there's always there's a relationship breakdown, and it's to do with children, access to kids, drug intakes, like abusing substances, and then it comes to the relationship breakdowns, family breakdowns as well, selling drugs. And it's all to do with drugs and substance misuse, and whether it's even the knife crime side of it. It's all like when Scotty died. That was alcohol and drug fueled. Like he was like stabbed, more stabbed like 8 times, but that was through drugs and substance abuse as well.
How would you say to these men a better way to deal with their emotions?
I've only just learned how to talk recently. I'm very open to talk about my life, but when it comes down to my emotions, that's a whole completely different kettle of fish. Like you can see that mark there on my leg. That was through a kitchen knife I put through my leg. Do you know what I mean? And I've tried hanging myself and overdosed on Class A drugs and prescription drugs in the past just to try and end it, because I've not been able to sort of get out or talk to someone, especially when you're trying to talk to someone that doesn't even know you, and then they're reading from a script. Do you know what I mean? That's
the reason I put that down. I want it to be a conversation as opposed to thing, you know.
But it's different when it comes with like a professional. Do you know what I mean? Like a doctor or nurse. So going back to what you said, I found solace in speaking to close friends. I did. Everyone says you can count your friends on your hand, and it's true. Like I can probably count about 7 or 8, but they're very close, and I'll speak to them specifically on different things. Do you know what I mean? And it gets me through. And plus, I'm on loads of medication as well. I'm on sertraline, propranolol. I've got an eating disorder, so I've got bulimia nervosa as well. So I struggle with food, but I've done ADHD training because I work for the Shropshire Council as well. Okay. So I've done ADHD training last week, and I didn't realise eating disorders are also part of ADHD, and I've got ADHD as well. Okay. And I've got ASD, which is autistic syndrome disorder. But I thought my eating disorder stemmed from me. I used to get force-fed food when I was a kid because I couldn't eat food. And there's a bit of a dark time with a situation where I was force-fed food, but that's in my book, and I don't want to sort of elaborate on it. But I thought that was the reason why I couldn't eat food, but it wasn't. It could. There's a correlation between ADHD and people with eating disorders as well, which I never.
So how did you find out you had ADHD?
Do you know what? It was my doctor referred me to the adult autism, adult ADHD thing, because I was diagnosed with ASD in 2017. I've got epilepsy as well, so I'm on Epilim as well, and I'm on antitryptamine for my leg. But because it's the summer, my leg is fine, so I don't need it. So when it's the winter, my leg, because I don't know, I had all them little sticker things on my leg to see if your legs can, like, they'll zap it so your legs jolt and all that. So this leg is slower than that leg. So it hasn't got through a nerve, but it's got done some damage to it. So in the winter, like my leg feels like it's seized up. So I'll have to take antitryptyline to sort of not feel the pressure on my leg. And plus I've got the bottle stuck back in the back of my leg there as well. So I've probably got, it's probably a few reasons why my leg's slow.
What was that through? In the back of the leg?
Just fighting over a girl as well, as a kid. And then the one on the top of my head, I've got about 10 stitches, I think, between 5 to 10 stitches on the top of my head. I can't remember how many, because it was back in 2007, I think. But that was through a load of blokes not getting on with another load of football lads. But it wasn't football violence. It was we're all drank in the same pub. We just didn't get on with these certain blokes. But I'd only just come from a fight 10 minutes before. I had my nose bust and walked straight into the pub, and it was all ashtrays were getting smashed over people's heads, just fighting, and I just went straight fucking in there. And next minute, I got a fucking end of a bottle stuck in my head. So
as a youngster, you didn't mind getting into those confrontations?
No, I loved it. Loved it. I think it's not good to say, but that's how my epilepsy started as well. So I had a lot of drug fueled epilepsy fits. Do you get what I'm saying?
Okay.
Cocaine and MDMA and ecstasy and MCAT as well. Remember MCAT? Dirty, wasn't it? Terrible. But when I stopped taking drugs, and I couldn't take drugs anyway because I went into the army. It took me 7 years to get into the armed forces through convictions. My convictions had to be spent. Took 5 years, and then it took another 2 years because I went to the doctors for depression or whatever. But within that time, I was in the army for just under 3 years, going on about a week off 3 years. So I always say like 3 years. I ended up having about 4 epileptic fits, sober fits as well. And that was through stress. So because they can't really pinpoint certain, like every epileptic person. So I've got juvenile myoclonic. So I have juvenile myoclonic seizures, but that's hereditary. Yeah, so I have like big seizures, like chronic seizures, where like you froth at the mouth, and I think it's hereditary. That's why it's juvenile myoclonic or something like that. Okay. So like, don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure that's what it means. So my brother, he's got epilepsy, and his son's got epilepsy, and I've got it as well. So, but because my outlet, going on to what you asked before, about like I didn't mind getting involved and stuff. Yeah. That was my outlet. Okay. And then I didn't have an outlet, so it was like a build up in my brain. And because I don't talk my emotions, because obviously not knowing back then I've got ADHD and I've got autism as well. So not being able to express my emotions builds up in my head. And after too much build up in my head, I'm then having seizures because I can't get my tension out of my head. Okay. It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. And the mind is a
mad thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So like the way I used to deal with, like I said, the way I used to deal with my outlet was violence, because that's what I seen from the ages of like 7 or 8.
I think that was fitting in with the same type of crowd as well, like trying to feel like you belong somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. Because all of us, like, there was never a dull day. There was never a dull day. There was either someone's getting chucked in a boot, someone's had a hammer to their head or a baseball bat to their knees, or someone's been stabbed, or there's a massive house party going on. There's a load of birds at this house party. you're like, and you're just going from different estates to estates. Then you've got the football day on as well, like, so. And then it was, and then you were in the pubs as well with loads of other people. So it was just, there was there was never a dull day. But I like dull days now. I like but that again, I have to then put my energy into other things. So literally 7 days, 7 days a week, sorry, I am on my phone trying to promote my book. I just casted, directed, and produced a play which was part of my book.
Oh,
Yeah, so that happened 2-3 weeks ago. That took me 8 months, and then I've done the book. Been nominated for 2 awards as well. It's mad because I got a list on my notes on my phone of like my things that I want to do in 2025, and one was getting my book out by the end of this year, so that'll be out in 2 months. I wanted to do a play, which was done. I wanted to try and get a full-time job within the council, so I'm halfway there at the moment. So I'm working a 0-hour contract there, but I'm always doing different hours, and I've got an interview for a drug and alcohol substance misuse worker within the council. That's Wednesday. Get a bigger house for me and my daughter. That's like in the process. And getting a mountain bike was another one, which I've got, and being nominated for an award and hopefully receiving the award. So I got nominated for 2, and I'm in the shortlist for. I'm in the finalist I'm in the finalist of the shortlisted award as Second Chances Award for the Black Awards, and they're actually coming to Shrewsbury, which is fitting. Yeah, so like they do it all over the UK. And this one time they're going to my hometown and doing it at the Shrewsbury Town football ground. And then they rang me up the other day and said, "Oh, Ben, you've been nominated for an award." I was like, "What the fuck? It's got to be written in the stars for me to get this award, isn't it?" And Alison Hammond's doing it's a red carpet. Yeah, she's handing the awards, and it's a red carpet event shit like as well.
brilliant.
Yeah, and then I got nominated for Rising Star Award in for the MBCC Award, which is another red carpet sort of event. So that's that in that process. And I did say in my notes as well that I wanted to at least scratch the surface level of getting a documentary and a film out. So I'm sort of waiting for a phone call. We've been backwards and forwards and messaging because I want to have a conversation with him, this lad who works for Sky and the BBC, about if there's a possibility of getting my story out in a film. So that's where I'm at. Yeah, so I'm doing all right.
So what's that feel like to come from such a bad place to such a good place?
It's really hard to sort of grasp. It's like I don't sort of. A lot of people. One of my close friends, Dribs. I've done a podcast with him, and we've become fucking like brothers within like 8 months to a year. And I don't like people. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm not a people person. Like you can see me, I'm always chatting and that. But to have someone into my own energy, to come into my own sort of world, personal space, it's a different sort of thing, isn't it? Yeah, but he says in the podcast, he said, "Ben, you need to take your flowers. Yeah, this is your time. Just embrace it." But I can't because I'm always used to negativity. I thrive off negativity, and that's what's pushed me forward at the moment. But now hearing something different, it's like I don't know what sort of energy I'm feeling. I'm loving the feeling of it, but it's a really weird feeling because I'm not used to it. I'm used to someone saying you're a dickhead and you're a failure and you're a scumbag. So that's what I thrive off. It's weird.
Does it feel odd hearing the complete opposite to those words?
Yeah, because when I hear something positive, which is mad, yeah, because when I first started New Generation coaching, I'd hear these positive this positive feedback from like teachers and like head teachers and the kids and stuff like that. and the parents and etc. And then I'll go back to my normal life where there's personal stuff going on, and then it's back to like hearing shit again. Whereas now I haven't got that personal situation going on, or I cut everyone out. Like that's because I still had all these people in my life. Do you get what I mean? Even though I was trying to do things better, so I still had that negativity. So now, over the past year and a half, 2 years, I have no. I've had no sort of. There's been a few rocky roads. Like I said, I've tried committing suicide. Do you know what I mean? That was only last year, but that's
What's the reason for that?
not being able to cope. I think children, my kids. Not going too much into it, but like when there's sort of situations going on with the parents, basically, I don't know how to cope with it. Like very good, because my kids are like my world.
Does it take you back to being a kid yourself?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and not knowing what to do, because do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the only way I knew how to do it was just sort of I used to self harm as a kid. Do you know what I mean? So the only way I could deal with that is I can't take it out on anyone anymore. Do you know what I mean? So I'm gonna have to take it out on myself. So that's down in a bottle of vodka and then taking a load of fucking prescription pills, and then just like looking around my yard thinking, where can I fucking hang myself? And then it was like a couple of years ago, my mate, she had literally walked in on me putting a rope around fucking part of my thing in the living room, and she had to fucking pull me off. And I didn't ring anyone. Do you know what I mean? I didn't phone anyone for help.
Anyone that's in that same type of situation now, what would you say to them?
Reach out. When people say it's a cry for help, it is a cry for help because you need help. And losing my friend last year, who I hadn't seen for like 7 years, but I was very close with him. Very, very close. Like I lived with him for like a week to 10 days because one of my kids' mums, we had broken up and I had nowhere to stay. But we had grown up from like the ages like 16. Do you know what I mean? So it's like a 15, 16-year relationship we had. And he just went and did it. Do you know what I mean? So it's really hard because, you know, when people say people are selfish when they take their life, I think it's possibly one of the bravest things to do, because you have to be in that mind to get to that situation and that step to do that.
So you never know that feeling until you've been that low.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So when I hear people say, "Oh, they're selfish because they've left their kids," they're my interpretation, because I've tried doing it myself, is my kids are better off without me here. Do you know what I mean? Because they're obviously I'm not doing any good for them, and that's how I feel that my friend and a few of my other friends have felt, and that's certainly how I felt. Like if I'm constantly getting all this shit, especially off people that have given birth to you, or supposed to be your parents, and not only that, your siblings or your cousins and all that, and they're throwing all this shit at you, but they'll still come to your fucking funeral, wouldn't they?
Talk about you then.
And talk about me then. So I know we're going morbid, but I've always said I'm getting bouncers on my funeral, and there'll be a list of people on it, and you ain't coming in. The ace, like my mum trying to come into the funeral, and my mate's standing there because one of my bouncer mates would be like, "Nah, you're not in. You're not on the list. You can go." But yeah, it's but on a light note, like I'm just enjoying. I'm watching my daughter grow. She's like 6. She's literally my best mate. Like my twins, my boys, they're boxers. Spoke to them yesterday. They're like they're doing really well in their mock. They think they've done well in their mock exams, and I know they're truthful boys. They don't swear. They go to boxing. They do their homework. They train. They don't go around never hanging around on the streets at 15. At the age of 15, I'd already tried stabbing my stepdad. Do you know what I mean? Different lives. And then my daughter, because I don't see my twins as much, but we're always in contact. But my daughter just lives over the road, so yeah, she spent the day with me yesterday on Father's Day, and then it was her Father's Day instead because I ended up doing her face mask, putting cucumbers on her eyes and all that.
Does that keep you on a neutral ground?
Yeah, it does, because again, I had a conversation with one of my friends the other day. I worry so much now about my sort of reactions to things, because my reactions, I'm very spontaneous. Like, do you know what I mean? I could be happy because obviously ADHD, but if I'm angry, I have to really, really, really fucking check myself, because I can react just like that. And then reactions, then I always think my child might not ever see me again, because it might not be me doing something to someone, it might be someone doing something to me. Or I could end up going on a self-destruct path and end up just trying to index it. Do you know what I mean? So I have to really check myself. So when I see her little smile when she sees me, and she's just cheeky, but she's a proper daddy's girl, so I know she would be very lost if I'm not around. So I have that. No one can fucking tell me anything anymore. I think I got to that stage now where people can't tell me what sort of person I am, because I know what person I am now. Whereas before, I didn't. I was still trying to find myself. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
But I still have my bad days. I have a bad week. Do you know what I mean? I'll shock myself. The one thing I've learned now is that I'll say to Cloma, or I'll say to a few of my other mates, I'm locking off. Yeah, and then I'll shut myself off. As long as they know that, they always say, as long as they know that they've got that message, that I'm just shutting myself off for a couple of days, where I'll just sit in my room and just like watch YouTube. And so this is why I struggle to hold down. I had to resign from the supervising job because of my mental health. Do you know what I mean? Because I can just shut off. My mental health can just go like that. But at least I can now take myself away, keep myself locked up for a couple of days, potter around the house. I've got a little cat. It's called a therapy cat. She is.
I have to deal with it a little bit better now you've grown up.
Yeah. Whereas I didn't before. So I'm learning, and I think when this book comes out as well, the book's called Misunderstood as well, which is fit.
Tell the people where can they find the pre-order at the moment?
Yeah, it's a pre-order. So it's Marcia's publishing house, and I'll give it Stefan.
I'll link it on the video anyway.
Yeah, and the book's called Misunderstood. Literally, it's in the title of the talk me and you have been having. It's fitting in it, really.
Yeah, of course.
So when the book comes out, I'm hoping I can sort of speak to a different networking of people to try and get this film, because I'm gunning for a film. When I want something, I usually get it. Do you know what I mean? So I'm gunning, and it's all positive, and it's like everything is for young people and for parents as well to read the book, and hopefully see it in on Netflix or wherever, and to fucking check themselves and think, I could be doing this to my kids. Like, I need to have a rethink about how I'm sort of bringing up my children or child, and the kids also thinking, I ain't fucking hanging around with these people. Do you know what I mean? Like, these ain't good for me. I always say, if someone's giving you a knife or a baseball bat or a knuckle duster or CS gas, these are the things that we used to use. and said, "Hey, I'll go and do that. Sort him out, sort her out." How's that someone? How's that one of your mates?
Yeah, of course. I think it's more being with that fitting crowd.
It is, yeah, it is. And I know it's people say it's hard to get out of. Like I say, I'm not. I've never called. I've been called reformed gang member and shit like that. If I wanted to be, if I wanted to be political, being in a football firm and hanging around with about 20, 30 lads in an estate as well, kicking fuck out of people and stabbing them and all that. Technically, that's a gang, but we never all go into the football, going to Wrexham away and having the off there. Technically, you're a gang, but completely different to London, and Birmingham, and that.
Yeah.
Even though I said to you before when we're walking down, Shrewsbury and Telford's rife with knife crime at the moment. Like,
yeah, you said I didn't realise it, but to be honest with you,
yeah, really.
From the little bit that I saw in the town.
The town centre's lovely, but it's going to the little pockets. Do you know what I mean? The estates. You've got visually, yeah. I always say this. They call Shrewsbury the town of flowers. Yeah, you go. If I took you in a car and showed you the estates where we lived, or we used to hang around, and I'd say, "Does this look like a fucking town of flowers to you?"
Yeah.
It's just the facade, innit? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think a lot of the councils try and make it the town's a lot better than it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what they've done here. It's like papering over the cracks.
Yeah, that's exactly what they do.
They're not, and obviously with the work I do, and obviously thank you to TARC because they've helped us out for here. So for this room, we work with the communities to try and not paper over the cracks, to try and heal people and heal the wounds. Do you know what I mean? So that's what we're here for. But obviously funding and shit like that, and it's like they'll rather pull it into building a new fucking bus stop. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Putting something in the middle of the town that means nothing.
Yeah, like if you go to Shrewsbury, they've got this thing that costs £5 million. It's just like a row of stones, and it's like, go and sort fucking Diverington out and Mill Brace and Sunderland with that money. Do you know what I mean?
Is there more homeless in Shrewsbury?
Yeah, a lot of homeless in Shrewsbury. I don't really see many. In Wellington, there's a lot of homeless people. I don't really see much in Telford as a whole, but maybe it's because I'm not around it as much. But Shrewsbury, there's a lot. Shrewsbury's rife with homeless people. Yeah.
So how do you think the councils could do better with the money?
Speaking to people like us, I think, and asking us what needs to be done. Speaking to the homeless people as well. Speaking to the people that are actually on the streets, instead of them thinking what they think's best, because they don't fucking know what's best. Communication's the key in it. Like whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in a job. I always say if you're not, or even in like a football club, do you know what I mean? If you're not communicating, you're not going to get the best out of anything, are you? It's going to just fall. It's just going to break.
That's why I do this, mate, to be honest. So I think
I like it.
see a lot more with the communication.
Exactly. And I was told this by a good friend of mine, Daryl. Said when you talk about ex-gang members, he's been shot 27 times. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah, he's from Manchester, but he's the epitome of what needs to be done, because he works with youth all around Manchester. He's like helped over like 3,000-4,000 kids and all that, but no one's putting the money into him, and that's in Manchester. What people should be talking to him, and he's got a BAFTA award. Do you know what I mean? So like he's, I think he's a BAFTA award winning for Gun Number 6. It's on BBC iPlayer. Yeah. So Daryl Laycock, he's in it. He is. And that's my mate. But if you ask him, they're not putting money into him. Do you know what I mean? To like, why aren't they asking him the questions of what needs to be done around like?
Do you think the reasons for that are?
I don't even know. I don't know whether it's they'd rather spend their money on other things, put money in their own back pocket. That's how I see it. I feel yeah.
Seems like there's a lot of councils that are draining money.
Yeah, well, Birmingham, they're in debt, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're like, aren't they like 700 million in debt or something?
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's mad, isn't it?
Where's the money been going from?
Exactly.
All these houses and people and parents and.
Exactly. And if you like, I'm on Instagram quite a lot because I've got the work on there. So you look at when I've looked at the stuff going on in Birmingham, where got the bin bags and shit going on. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're putting money into their ass pocket. That's where it's going. But then again, I don't like being political because it feels like then I've got an agenda, and my agenda is just focused on making sure that the new generation don't go down the path that I went down, or any other person's that they've been down that road. Do you know what I mean? That's why I called it New Generation.
So how would you say for those kids? How would you say to them to keep on track?
Kids these days aren't stupid.
No.
So they should be wise enough to know sort of what people they're mixing with, and whether they're good people, whether they're bad people. If you're already involved, if you're thinking about doing it, then young people need to check themselves and surround themselves by good people. But if you're already in that life, it's really hard for me to have that conversation because you're in it then. And I feel like, and I'd say this all the time to workers, and when I've done workshops and presentations where there's kids that are either on the periphery of being in a gang, or they're either in it. You've got two sets of different people. You can sort of have this conversation. You can have the conversation with both of them. One might not. One is already there, might have to go to jail and might have to live that life for my talk to register.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. So like, it might work in 10 years' time, and they'll be like, "Oh, Ben, remember when Ben was talking about?" I might hit him up to see what he's doing now. And that might be 10, 15 years after they spent in jail, or after they've done whatever they need to do. The ones on the periphery, you can sort of try and nib it in the bud, like, quicker. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, explain to them a little bit easier.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I always explain to, like, other organisations and all that. Like, I can't wave a magic wand, but I can certainly speak and help, and I can guide them. But if someone's already set in their way, then you have to sort of, I can give them the talk and mentoring now and again, or speak to them and try and guide them. But they've already made that decision.
Yeah, you can take them to the water, but you can't make them drink it.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do you think that these problems stem from the home?
I think a lot of it does. A lot of it's down to, there's a lot of factors into why people choose the life of crime. Poverty, being homeless, being homeless, or your domestic abuse in your home, like you said, your home environment, your area you live in. Kids that are in care. There's like foster kids, people that have come over to the UK and don't know where to fit in. Do you know what I mean? Like self-identity. So there's a lot of factors of why people choose, and it's easy money in it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the factors as well. How easy it is, as opposed to doing something genuine and getting paid a good wage for it.
Yeah, exactly. But I've said this to a few young people now, that when you get done now for like drugs and all that, you'll get they'll tax you on it now when you go to jail. So like drug dealers now say they've been. I think I read one drug dealer owed like 900 and something grand back to the courts. Otherwise, he was getting more jail time added onto his sentence. So I'm don't quote me on this because you'll have to Google it, but I'm pretty sure now that the justice system now, anyone that's involved in like money laundering or drugs or anything like that, that they'll give you extra time onto your prison sentence if you don't pay back the money that they've worked out of how much money you've made, basically.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but then you're just creating more. It's I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing because there's two sides to it. Because you're just keeping people in jail longer, which means you're keeping the jails fuller, which is not it's costing money, and you're not rehabilitating them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So you spent time in jail yourself.
Yeah.
What do you think of the rehabilitation system?
Shit. There's no. I was lucky out of a few, but don't get me wrong. When I got out of jail, like again, it's in my book. There was planned things that I was doing. There was things that I still got up to. I was in court for 2 Section 18s as well. And that was after I got out of jail. But it was lucky that I didn't go back in. But I would say I was one of the lucky ones. But yeah, rehabilitation's not good. We had a few good teachers though in education in Stoke Heath. Alwyn was one. He was our science teacher. I got on really well with him. He just had a really good way of speaking to us, and I still speak to a few of the lads that I was in jail with. One's still in jail though. He got 10 years in July last year for $250,000 of Class A and Class B drugs and all that. And then the other one's ex B21 gang member, and the other one is from Leicester, and he's just been going through some hardships through his friends being killed and all that. But we all still speak, which is mad. And I was the one from Shrewsbury, this lad with a farmer's fucking accent and a bald head and a black lad, and they're looking at me thinking, you're fucking mental, like. And I'm like, nah, you lot are. But they're like, what? I want to know why you were like this. What? Tell me more. But then they helped me through jail because one, they had big reputations, and I was sort of fortunate that I fell into that sort of crowd. Otherwise, I think jail could have been quite difficult. Whereas I had about 7 lads that run sort of Stoke Heath at the time, and I was part of that. Do you know what I mean? So my jail time was quite smooth. Do you get what I mean? But then I was taught about my heritage and culture, and that was by black people in jail. So it says a lot. Where is that? There's a pro and a con of that, because it shows that there's a lot of black people in jail.
Yeah.
And they were but in the plus slide, they were teaching me about my culture and heritage, about my Jamaican side. They were feeding me information about Jamaica and like my heritage. So they were like educating me. So
which you hadn't learned at home.
Which I hadn't learned anything at home. I didn't know anything about Dax Green. Like just Dax Green just for your fucking afro hair and shit like that. They just taught me loads of shit. And they educated me in that sense. So so when I come out of jail, I come out with a lot more hatred though towards the people that sort of took me in. Do you get what I mean? Because I was like, you lot ain't fucking with me now. Do you know what I mean? So I sort of slowly cut myself away, and then started mixing with different sorts of people.
So what was it like when you come out of jail? How did you carry yourself, say, for the first week or so?
Wasn't good because I had a situation going on. My mum kicked me out as well, so I was homeless when I come out of jail. She gave me a £200 postal order, and said, "There's that's you, you're gone." So she met me from Stoke Heath with my birthday present, which is a Lacoste jacket. I can always remember it. Lacoste jacket, and a pair of Nike Shocks, 200 quid, and said, "Ta-ra." And then we had a bacon sandwich, and then she said, there's a pub there, the old Bush, which is closed down now. It's done into houses. And then I had to stay there I was living in a bed and breakfast for about a month. And then what did I have to, what do you do then? You've got to go back to what you know best, innit? So that's what I did. And that was selling drugs again. And then I got a job doing gardening and landscaping. Couldn't keep that down. I was there for about a year, but I couldn't keep it down because I was making more money selling. So like,
no incentive when you know that type of money either.
Yeah. So I enjoyed the work. I enjoyed the graft. I love graft. Do you know what I mean? So I enjoyed that. But I can hang around with my boys though and make 3 times as much money. Which one are you going to choose? Do you know what I mean? And I was only 18, so I'm 18 at the time. So I'm still wanting to hang around with mates, and didn't really think about what sort of future I could have had carrying on the gardening and landscaping, because I knew I was good at it as well. But it was like, it just wasn't sort of good. It wasn't that job particularly at the time for me. So going back on what you're saying, the first week, I was homeless, and first month I was homeless. Just, I wouldn't say homeless because I wasn't, because I was living in a pub, but
nowhere to call your own.
Nowhere to call my own. And then I flitted around for years after that. Like, I then went to live with she was my fiance at the time, lived with her, but we went on holiday together and stayed with her and her mum. Then I lived with them when I went, and then her mum's backed onto my mum, so I'd jump over the fence, go to my mum, stay there for a couple of days, fuck off to my granddad's for a couple of days. I was just doing what I did before I went to jail again. So it was that cycle, and I could see it happening. It was happening all over again.
Yeah, you pull yourself out of it.
I met my twins' mum. Went, the custard factory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went there. I fucking hate hardcore music. Yeah, but we went. The music still to this day, whenever I talk about it, being at that custard factory, still drills into my head. I can just hear that sound by the tunnel. So I met her there, and she sort of took me away. But she used to hang around with us lads at the pub at the castle and that. So she used to hang around with all the football lads. She grew up with them. So I was still going to the football with her, but she didn't mind me going to the football, and she didn't mind me hanging around with the lads. But there was times I needed to get back in. Then there was like, I had a bit more of a structured routine still within that criminal sort of life. Do you know what I mean? So she sort of like tamed me, and then the twins were born, and then sort of shit like that couldn't happen then. But I still did now and again. I still flitted in and out, and it wasn't until even in the army, like people selling, can't really talk much, but there was people selling drugs. I was like very much like aware of it. Do you know what I mean? So like, it wasn't until I really got out of the army where like I had a full stop on it.
Did you do in the army?
I was a command post, CP.
Okay.
So that's basically, I didn't even know that I was good at it. But you do the telephonic thing through the radio. Hello, Alpha 1, Bravo, this sort of thing. So I radio through to the OPs with targets of where the enemies are. I'll give them the coordinates through the radio in the AS90 or whatever the fuck it's called, and then I'll give them the targets, the coordinations, and then they'll go and blow it up.
What was that like, the time you spent in the army?
I needed to go in the army for my discipline and for my routine, because in jail, I think another reason why I enjoyed being in jail is because I had structure and routine.
We all need that in our life.
Definitely, yeah, to some extent. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not to the extent where you're controlled, to the extent where you know what you're doing throughout the day. Do you know what I mean? And you've got that sort of routine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not to, like I said, not to the point where you've got your missus saying you can and can't fucking do this. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
So that was positive. The fact that I gained my driving license, I was able to handle guns legally. I'd done my personal training qualifications in there.
Okay.
I've done my security to work as an SII, like as a security officer, done that there. I'd done my maths, my English and ICT. I'd redone all my GCSEs in there.
Okay.
Passed all of it. Then I went on to resettlement. Like I said, done my personal training, done my Prince's Trust team leader qualification as well. So all of that, the education side of things, was top notch. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Brilliant. But the other side of things, not so much.
Do you think you could have got that outside the colleges, etc., or do you think being on the outside you wouldn't have?
I wouldn't have done it. No, it's because It's not because I had that routine and structure to go and do that in the army. So in a sense, I was having to do it because that was part and parcel of what your job was, your job role. Whereas my job role out there was just selling drugs and taking drugs and meeting women and going to house parties and going to the football, and do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
That was.
So if you could go back to an 8-year-old you, what would you say to yourself?
I always get asked this question. Yeah. Choose your parents differently. You can't do that. But I always say I probably should have listened to my nan and granddad a lot more, because I lived with them most of my life. Even though I was flitting in and out of the houses and all that, my mainstay was my nan and granddad's.
Very big part of your life.
Massive, yeah. So when they passed away, I really fucking went off the wall. But listen to my nan and granddad more. Talk as well, because when I went to school, I had a social worker. He's my friend now as well, Craig. He won't mind me talking about him. He took me to one of my first fucking events to go and watch, like, because I was building New Generation Coach, and he took me to Preston to watch an event like of someone who was talking about knife crime. I probably should have spoke to him more, but because I couldn't identify myself as him, because he was a white bloke in a suit, and didn't know what sort of shit I was going through. But then he wouldn't know if I didn't talk. But he was there for a fucking reason. You know what I mean? He was there. I was on a Child Protection Act, so he was there for a fucking reason. But because my mum and her fella at the time were good at covering shit up, and they were asking me questions, and I just wasn't sort of answering it, then maybe things would have been different. Maybe things would have been nipped in the bud. Maybe I would have been able to live permanently with my nan and granddad. So yeah, for the 8-year-old self, I'd say should have listened to the people that cared for me. But I was a scared little 8-year-old boy. Do you know what I mean?
I think fear can control us,
Yeah.
especially at that young age.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. In the, like, again, I can't talk about it, but in the book, when you said that specific age of 8, there's a specific type. In that book, that age, and something happened at that age of what someone had seen. That's sort of started the sort of the shit off, the ball rolling of whatever. So you saying that age was spot on. So that age, I should have probably spoken and just probably spoke to my nan and granddad a bit more about it, because they knew. I think they knew what was going on. They knew what was going on because I was always fucking there, and I'd say what was going. I'd say as I got older, shit that was going on. But I don't think they knew. Probably did, and wise people, didn't they? Grandparents.
Yeah, we don't think they are, but they've seen it all, haven't
They have seen it all, yeah. But I think if I verbally spoke then, I think they would have done something about it.
I know,
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's the main piece of advice that you've received through your life that you like to pass on to the next generation?
Main bit of advice: surround yourself by good people. Know your surroundings as well. So having that good group of people around you, make sure, like I said, letting other people in, you have to be very wary of who you let in. Be very mindful of people trying to take your kindness as a weakness, because I think a lot of young people are very kind as well and very naive and think that people are doing things for kindness, but they're not. They tend to be doing it for their own sort of gratification. There's always something that they're wanting. So be very mindful of who you're surrounding yourself with, and also don't work too hard. Like, you have to work hard, but I've worked myself into a ground where I've ended up having mental blockouts, where I've resigned from work, where I've tried ending my life. I feel like don't work yourself into the ground. Just be able to talk to someone that you're close to. Like, have your own little supervision with one of your friends on how you're feeling. Talk about your feelings. And I know it's hard, but just saying you feel like shit is a start, because then your mate will ask you, why, what's up? And then you're able to have that conversation then. And then when you get the ball rolling, as you said before, it's easy to open up that communication. But I've been told that be careful who you surround yourself with, and make sure you surround yourself by good intentioned people. So, and reach out to me if you can't. New Generation Coaching, because I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn and X as well, but I don't really use that.
Is there anything else you'd like to say? Final word.
Thank you, Steph, for letting me on here. I really appreciate it, bro.
No problem.
And go and like and subscribe and share.
Thank you, man.
No worries, bro.
Give you a handshake at the end. Thanks for your time, and I appreciate you inviting me here as well, man. Thank you.
No worries, bro.